Finally, some good news in India's startup ecosystem. For the first time in more than a month, India has a new startup unicorn. I'm talking, of course, about PW, or PhysicsWallah. Welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb, your host, and the thing about PhysicsWallah is that they're actually very different from most Indian startup unicorns. First of all, they are bootstrapped, meaning that they haven't raised any external funding up until this point, where now they're raising $100 million at a $1.1 billion valuation. And then the second thing, and this actually impresses me even more than the fact that they're bootstrapped, is that they're profitable. And they're not just recently profitable in the last year or so, they've been profitable pretty much since day one. They have positive cash flow and they have reserves, which means that if anything goes wrong, they can continue to pay the salaries of their employees, which is so important in the edtech space right now. There have been so many layoffs, not just in edtech, but across India's entire startup ecosystem. But PW is bucking that trend. They haven't laid off any of their employees. And in fact, they've been hiring. So PhysicsWallah started as a YouTube channel back in 2014 and quickly became popular among students because of the unique style of teaching of Alakh Pandey, its founder. And up until 2019, that's all that PhysicsWallah was. It was just a YouTube channel, but it was growing very quickly. It crossed 1 million subscribers in March of 2019, and that's when Alakh Pandey realized that he needed more help to continue to meet the demand of his students. So it was around that time that he decided to onboard his co-founder, Pratik, and they registered a company, PhysicsWallah Private Limited, and also they launched an app. Now, since that private limited company was registered, they've been doing very well financially. They saw 7 crore rupees in profits in the first year and 24.6 crore rupees in revenue. And this year, they've already seen 350 crore rupees in revenue, and they're on track to cross 650 crore rupees by the end of the year. But how have they been able to accomplish all this? Well, there's actually 2 main reasons. The first of them is pricing. For example, a G annual course from Vedantu or an academy can cost anywhere between 15,000 and 30,000 rupees. But in the case of PhysicsWallah, it's just 3,500 rupees. And then the second main reason, of course, is the organic growth that the company has seen in the form of word of mouth marketing. People just love this company and they want to tell everybody about it on social media. And if you scroll through the comments of our video, specifically the one that we made about PhysicsWallah and the journey that the company has taken to get to this point, you can see how many people just genuinely love and appreciate this company and the founder of this company, Alakh Pandey, which brings us to the next section of our video, the founder spotlight. We're going to be talking a little bit about Alakh Pandey himself. So Alakh Pandey doesn't like to be thought of as a businessman. He'd much prefer to be thought of as a teacher, but I do think that if we look at him as a businessman and we look at some of the business decisions that he's taken to building his startup, and specifically the choices that he's made towards his customers, I think we can learn a lot. So the first learning that we can get from Alakh Pandey is the idea of providing value for free to begin with, and always keeping users and customers as the first priority. So for the first 5 years of this YouTube channel, Alakh Pandey kept all of his courses free for all of his students. They were just videos that he was posting online for free. And this allowed him to get his first set of loyal users and customers, which became his army for word of mouth marketing later on. And then when he finally decided to start monetizing his teaching, he was keeping the pricing very customer-centric, keeping it at the bare minimum. His paid course began at just 500 rupees, which is easily affordable for a large majority of his audience. Now, the next thing that I think we can learn from Alakh Pandey is his focus on building a profitable and sustainable company from day one. So the approach that we see a lot in the edtech space and more generally across the entire startup ecosystem is that founders right away rush out and they raise a bunch of money from venture capital firms and angel investors, and then they burn through it really quickly because they spend a lot of that money on marketing when they should have spent it more so on actually building a valuable product. Now, in the case of Alakh Pandey, he actually did the opposite. He spent many, many years building an extremely valuable product, and then later on, once he knew his customers, once he had a solid and sustainable business model, then he raised money from external investors, and he actually despises the approach that most edtech startups take. In his own words, our aim is to bring about a revolution in education by reaching out to millions of students in a sustainable and affordable way. I don't know how edtech startups with thousands of crores of losses are able to sleep. In fact, Alakh Pandey was so dedicated to this mission that when Unacademy offered to hire him a couple of years ago for 40 crore rupees per annum, he declined their offer. And so now with this $100 million that PhysicsWallah has in the bank, Alakh Pandey wants to expand his brand and open more offline learning centers. All right, next up, this video is brought to you by Jump Trade, and these guys are soon going to be launching the world's first cricket NFT game, Meta Cricket League. Now, the game itself hasn't yet been launched, but the NFTs are already available on their website, and you're going to need to buy at least 2 of these NFTs in order to play the game, a batsman and a bowler. Different cricket player NFTs will have different levels in the game. For example, a rookie NFT will be at level 1, a rare NFT will be at level 5, an epic NFT will be at level 8, and a legend NFT will be at level 10. However, it is worth noting here that your levels can be upgraded by playing more games. So even if you start with a level 1 NFT, you can upgrade it by playing more and winning more rewards. Now, in phase 1 of the launch, this Cricket League will have a player versus player multiplayer game where you'll be able to play against players that have a similar skill level to you. So if you're a cricket fan and you want to make money playing your favorite game, then make sure to click on the link in the description down below and get your NFTs before the game is launched. Because the way that it works with these things is that as soon as the game is launched, and even in the lead up to the game being launched, the prices for these NFTs are going to go way up. Also, if you use the link in the description, you can get $10 deposited directly into your Jump Trade wallet, but this offer is only valid for the next 24 hours. So to avail it, use offer code BWM10 at checkout. And one disclaimer here is that crypto products and NFTs are unregulated and can be highly risky, so there may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from such transactions, so get involved only after understanding all of the risks around it. Now, if you want to learn more about the journey that PhysicsWallah and Alakh Pandey have taken to get to this point, like I said earlier, we made a dedicated video about it. You can check that out up here. But now let's move into our bird's eye segment, because 19 Indian startups have raised more than $1 million this week, with the total coming in at $626.8 million raised. So we've got FinTech leading the charge. They raised 58.8% of all of the funds this week. That's $369 million. And the leaders here were Mobikwik raising $100 million, FlexiLoan raising $90 million, and also Cred raising $80 million. Then, of course, in second place, we have edtech startups raising 18.5% of all of the funds this week. That's $116 million. And these were raised, of course, by PhysicsWallah at $100 million and Team Lease EdTech at $16 million. After EdTech, we have e-commerce startups raising 12.8% of all the funds this week. That's $80 million. And the leaders here were Cashify raising $50 million and 10 Club raising $30 million. And then last but certainly not least, we have a D2C startup, Purpple, raising 5.3% of all the funds. That's $33 million that they raised to become a unicorn, India's 102nd startup unicorn ever. All right, next up in the news, more layoffs this week. Unfortunately, we've got 300 people being laid off across 4 different startups, so I'm going to be going into a little bit of detail on each one of those. So first of all, we have gold loan platform Rupeek. They fired 180 employees, and the thing is, they raised $34 million just back in January of 2022. But now, of course, they're trying to make their company leaner. They want to sustain themselves and grow in the long term, and so they're firing employees. Next, we have SoftBank-backed edtech unicorn Eruditus. They fired 40 of their employees, and they've done this to focus on their core business and scale down their expansion plans because SoftBank, one of their key investors, had advised them to cut down on costs, to strengthen their unit economics, and to expand their runway and reach profitability. After that, we have email startup Superhuman. They've fired 23 employees, and the company's CEO said that as we head into a downturn that could last years, we've made this difficult choice so that we can deliver on our vision sustainably. And then finally, we have SaaS startup Lummo, which is actually headquartered in Indonesia, but a lot of their employees sit in India, and they've laid off about 50% of those Indian employees. That's between 50 and 60 people. And the sad thing here, of course, is that they did too recently raise funds. Back in February of 2022, they raised their Series C round, which was $80 million. And they did have plans to triple their India team, but now, of course, those expansion plans have been shelved. All right, next up in the news, it looks like Ola Electric is planning on building a battery manufacturing facility here in India. And they're planning on spending about $1 billion on this factory. So this is specifically going to be a battery cell manufacturing facility. It's going to have a capacity of 50 gigawatt hours according to the company, which of course is what they're going to need to keep up with their ambitious plans, as they're planning to produce 10 million scooters per year. And they also of course recently announced that they're going to be making an electric car as well, possibly in 2023. All right, that is all the startup news that I have for you guys this week. I really hope you enjoyed the video and that you learned something from it. Big thanks now to all of our Backstage with Millionaires members, our unicorns, our decacorns, and our hectacorns. And of course, also big thanks to this week's sponsor, Jump Trade. And make sure to click on the link again in the description down below to buy the NFTs for their upcoming game, Meta Cricket League. All right, I will see you in the next one.